Unmuted.
Good evening. It is 6 p.m. This meeting for the Civil Service Commission is now called to order. Item number 2, the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. Item number 3, establishment of quorum. Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Present.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Present.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Present.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Present.
We have a quorum. Item number 4, public comment. We have no speakers for public comment at this moment. Do we have a motion for consent agenda?
Motion to consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moving on to regular agenda, item number 6, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 2.9, Mental Health Leave.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. This evening, we'd like to discuss the action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 2.91, Mental Health Leave. The duties and responsibilities of police officers can be emotionally demanding. The City of Socorro is committed to protecting the psychological health and safety and well-being of its police officers. Pursuant to Section 614.015 of the Texas Government Code, the city recognizes the emotional demands on its police officers in an effort to help them preempt and resolve emotional difficulties and take measures necessary in the provision of mental health services. To ensure their wellness and safety, the city will provide a paid mental health leave to all policies. I do have Lieutenant Smith that will speak further about this change in this policy.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Smith with Socorro Police Department. We are going into the Texas best practices, and in order to become an accredited department, we have to have everything on the upright. We have to do new policies and procedures, and this is one. Even though it is a policy that the city has, we had to write it in the same manner as the rest of our policies. It has to be stated as policy, definitions, procedures, et cetera. It has to be listed like that. This is almost verbatim for what our policy is. There are a few little tweaks, and I don't remember the exact places where there are, but it has to fit within the Texas best practices policies. So I had our policy, and then I had the Texas best practices policies, so I merged them together to make this policy. So it does mirror our city policy, and we're just requesting that we approve this so that we can continue with getting accredited through the Texas best practices.
Is there any discussion? Okay, I have a question, and it's just to get better informed. Like on the last page, on page number 3, Roman numeral number 6, the EAP, it says that it is offered, and you guys have that through like Emergence, or do you guys have your specific one that?
No, this is
Socorro PD?
through the city.
It's through the city? Who does the city recommend?
Yes, sir. We do have an EAP, and it's through ESI.
ESI?
Yes, sir.
Okay, alrighty, and at the same time, they can go on their own, or do they have to be referred? I know it says they're through referral, but is it something that they can go through on their own without it being them taking time off on their own time or anything of that sort?
They can we refer them to the information, which is the 1-800 number. They can request their appointments at any time through their own venue, so they do not have to go through me or to anybody else. They can go on their own. Yes, sir.
Go ahead and take the vote. Mr. Albert Ortiz?
I second.
I'm sorry, and Mr. Andres Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda?
Yes,
Ms. Claudia Olmos?
Yes.
And Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion passes.
and before we continue, if we can make an addendum onto it that Mr. Andres Chavez did come in
Yes.
for the meeting at 6:06.
Perfect.
I'm going to go ahead and ask him if he wants to go ahead and take the chair, or if you want to stay there. It's up to you. You take the chair?
Stay from here right now.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All righty. I'm sorry about that, Ms. Gonzalez. You got to go ahead.
Moving on to number 7, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department, Policy 4.1, hiring and selection.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Once again, Carol Candelaria here, HR Director. The discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 4.1, hiring and selection. The purpose of this policy is for the Socorro Police Department to strive to obtain the best law enforcement officers possible to help achieve the department's policy goals. I do have Lieutenant Smith that will also address this new revision.
Again, this is Lieutenant Smith. The main things, the hiring process is really the same. The only thing that we added to this is a lateral transfer hiring process. We did not have that before, and so therefore that is the main thing. If you guys want to mull over that and read through that, it's the section 8, and there's another section that yeah, that was it. That was what was added to the regular hiring, was the transfer policy. And what that does is it helps us to be able to get officers from other departments that would like to transfer into us. They transfer, that's why they call it the lateral transfer. They transfer their however many years they have into the department. It helps to broaden. Ooh, this is really a hot mic. It really helps you probably don't need my microphone, but for recording purposes. It really helps to broaden the experience that we have. We hired 2 individuals from Reeves County. One officer had 2 years and one had 6. And he also had canine experience. So when one of our canine officers went down, and he's going to be down for a year, this officer was able to take the dog and get recertified with that dog, which we didn't know if it would be possible because this dog is not the friendliest dog in the world. He is very headstrong, but he was able, because of his experience, he was able to take that dog and get certified with that dog, which is a very excellent thing for him to do. But it's because, you know, and now these guys came in without doing the lateral transfer. So they could not go through this. If we would have gone through this, they would have come probably sooner, because especially the canine officer. That just helps, it just helps, because not too many people want to be police officers nowadays, and that just helps that we can get more officers. Any questions?
Move for discussion.
No, I don't have any questions.
Is there any process that, being a lateral transfer from police officer, that you're not taking in an officer with any sort of exceeding?
Oh, no, we do a complete background investigation on them. So if they're coming from another department, the very first thing that we request from that department is their internal affairs record. So if it's a problem officer, we will not accept it. So, yeah, we do a complete, and that's part of this, we do a complete background on every officer, every dispatcher that comes to work with us.
What about, do you guys have a cutoff point as in years of service?
Yeah.
Do we want somebody that's at 18 years and in 2 years say, hey, cool, 2 years is cool, I'm gone? Do we have something that eliminates that? 18 years is great
No,
service.
they don't come in, I think the maximum, I think we're doing was 3 years. So, it's not a complete lateral.
Okay.
So you can't say, I have 18 years here and I'm at 18 years,
Okay.
because we don't have 18-year officers. Right.
Not a day over,
Actually do, yeah.
not a day over 21, Lieutenant Smith. Not a day over 21.
They couldn't have awarded me if it was in a lateral transfer.
True.
I have a question.
Yes.
On your lateral process, when you bring in a recruit, is that also part of the salary lateral, or is that a Socorro Police Department starting salary?
They won't start at the bottom, they would start up to a 3-year officer.
Okay.
So, the most they would get would be what the 3-year officer
Okay.
gets. And then, as far as their experience, so that's what we're gaining, is
Okay.
their experience level.
Okay.
And it's a really good thing to be able to get senior officers in here, because, they've gone through the process, they know how to treat people, and if they have a good internal affairs record, that means that they're not abusive, they're not brutal, they will have a level head on their shoulder.
Okay.
And that's what we want. We would like officers that come in and they have the experience and they can hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
Healthy, I got a question also. Oh, I'm sorry. It's also like if El Paso PD officer retires, wants to come to work, we accept them, right? You would accept them, right?
If we do a complete background though. but-
Right, exactly, regardless, but yeah, okay. So I've heard a couple say, oh, when I retire, I'd like to work for, try to push some.
Well, what about seniority wise? How do they come in with the seniority pool? Are they at the bottom of the list, or because they have the 3 years, they get those extra points, or how does that work with you guys?
Well, they would be a senior officer.
Okay.
They would still have to go through an NCO process.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just so that they know our rules and
What's-
regulations.
What Socorro
And they
works.
can understand where the city is. They're gonna have to go through, it'll be a shortened, field training officer program, but, they would still have to go through that.
Okay.
But then they're gonna, and I believe that they'll carry with them the respect. These 2 officers that we got from Reeves County, they've been respected from day one.
And that's what I was looking at, because, I mean, we've been around that. A new guy comes in, and it's like, you're gonna harass them regardless, but that respect, it carries a long way, so.
It does, it does.
So I have a question. Are your police officers required to live within the city limits of Socorro? They are not. Okay.
No, they're not. I just wanted to reemphasize that, keep in mind that when we redid our job descriptions here back in October, we did step evaluations would include the years of service, not only with this current city of Socorro, but with other entities. So it's been included in that for the salaries.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion?
Move to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second?
We'll go ahead and take the vote. Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item number 8, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 4.9, Community Outreach and Customer Service.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Carol Candelaria here. Again, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 4.9, Community Outreach and Customer Service. It is the policy of the Socorro Police Department to embrace the tenets of the community policing and engage in the community in a positive and trusting manner. Community involvement is essential in the success of the operation of any police department. Again, I have Lieutenant Smith to discuss the new changes in this policy.
Okay, for the Texas best practices, this is a mandatory policy that we have to have, which I think is the best policy to have. We should, as a police department, be reaching out to the community. That is vital for a police department to be successful, especially in a small community. So I was very happy that this has to be a mandatory practice that we have to have. Now, because of this, we do Coffee with the Chief. We started a PAL program, which is the Police Athletic League. We have officers that go out and they teach. We've done one season of teaching kids how to play flag football. We did not win one game. However, those kids, we won their hearts. They wanted to do a second season, every single one of them. And they fell in love with the officers that were coaching them. And we want to expand it to do other sports. And we put it out to the community what they desire. We could do basketball. We did do a basketball league, and it just fell apart because unfortunately we did it when basketball was going on. So we didn't get the kids to come. So we learned from that, and that's why we did the off-season football. And these kids, like I said, they had a blast. We had officers that worked it, that they coached the kids, they were there for the practices, they were there for the football games. The parents just loved the fact that we did that. Sergeant Keene, I will give her all the kudos in the world. She was there for every practice, for every game. She was there ahead of time to set up stuff. She stayed behind to clean up. So I give her all of the kudos. But this is more than just that. This also incorporates our victims advocate. Our victims advocate was at every practice, was at every game. So between those two, they deserve all of the kudos. They deserve all the thanks of the community. It was so successful that on Sergeant Keene's birthday, we had parents come to give her gifts. So she made a huge impact. So this is a mandatory thing that we have to have, but it's a great thing for us to have. we do a lot of outreach projects through Victor. You know, we do the 4th of July extravaganza, we do the Christmas tree lighting, we do the color run, but that's not ours, that's Victor's.
Thank you, Victor.
So this is ours, and we take pride in it. So, for a mandatory thing, I think it's awesome.
I'm gonna stereotype something where you said you needed ideas, and this is gonna be very stereotype, which they don't have anymore, but wash us.
Wash us.
The washing that you throw,
What kind of
horseshoes.
talent do you have playing wash us?
You have never been to those
I've played
competitions.
wash us before, trust me.
Down
Yes,
at,
I have.
down at the,
I've done it down at Delta. Yes, I have.
you see how he gets?
Because, you know, I know firemen, okay? We used to have washa tournaments with them when I was with TAC.
Yeah.
We used to do it in the scary. Oh, I know washa.
Any discussion on? Yes.
It's for any kids, like from,
It's any Socorro children. We
Yeah,
don't, we
I
don't
have a-
advertise outside. It's,
okay,
and their age groups, like,
9 years old.
9 years old,
I have
yes.
two,
I
yeah.
think it was 8 to 10 and then 11 to 14.
Yeah. I coach in that league.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I
you know.
coach in that league, and it was great to see. They came in late in the season, so that was kind of tough. Me knowing as a coach, my man, they're gonna struggle because everyone else has already had all that time to practice.
Oh, yeah.
And for you to put a team together like
Well,
week
they've
2,
also had years
yeah.
of practice. You
Yeah,
can
so-
tell the difference,
yeah.
couldn't you?
So it for me, being from down here, my first before I started that team was I'm gonna start a team down there in Sapporo because there's no teams down there.
Yeah.
But you know, things happen, and I ended up east side, right? But it was really great to see the PAL kids, the deputies out there coaching them up, and like I said, the kids. You know, the expectation like, hey, it's the first season, you know, but the parents on the sideline, you know, other teams have, you know, more experience and stuff, but some parents get complacent, right? And they take their kids and they play their game. The Sapporo kids, man, the parents were on the sideline. There was a maraca out there one time. It was just a great environment. And it was great to see. It really was. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are going to be coming back. That's great.
Yeah, we'll be doing it more.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Take a motion.
I second.
Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 4.10, volunteer chaplains.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Carol Candelaria here again. This is to discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 4.10, volunteer chaplains. It is the policy of the Socorro Police Department to provide guidance and assistance to the employees, families of the employees, and the community through the department's chaplain. In order to provide this support, a police department chaplain may be appointed who will volunteer his or her time and services. I do have Lieutenant Smith that can further discuss this policy.
Okay, this is a policy that our ex-chief wanted to bring in a chaplain. I think it's an excellent policy to have. El Paso, I came from El Paso Police, and we had chaplains on rotation. So the chaplains for El Paso, I knew them very well because I spent 3.5 years in special traffic investigations. So I always utilized them to make death notifications. And that was the main purpose really for El Paso chaplains. We would like to make this a little bit better here, mainly to help the officers if they feel more comfortable talking to a chaplain than they do EAP or something, to give them access to someone that is there. Now, we do carry the chaplain that we currently have. He asked us if we would carry his TCO certification, which means he's an officer. And the chief allowed that. However, he will not be carrying his weapon. The only time that he would carry a weapon is there's exigent circumstances. And that means, like if we have a flood, we have a major disaster, we have a shooting where he needs to go out and patrol because, you know, or stand there to direct traffic. And, you know, it's a good thing to be able to have a weapon, people recognize you as an officer. His uniform is different, it's a white shirt. We are changing the emblems. It's not gonna say police, it'll say chaplain. His badge will be different than this. It'll have a cross in it and it'll say chaplain. So it'll be similar, but it won't be the same. He also can, if he wants, he'll be a reserve officer and he can go out on the weekend and work patrol for us, but he won't be acting in a chaplain's policy or a chaplain's status at that time. When he's a chaplain, he will not be wearing a gun, will not be in a police uniform. It'll be similar, but it'll be a little bit different. On the last page, that's where it spells out that he will wear a similar uniform as the officers. However, the uniform shirt will be white in color and have chaplain distinctly displayed. For the normal course of duty, the chaplain will not carry a weapon. However, during exigent circumstances, the chief of police or his designee may approve the chaplain to carry a weapon only with the prior approval during that specific event. So after the event's over, that's it. He will not carry a weapon. So I just wanted to spell that out just to make sure that you understand that. He could have a dual role. He could be an officer out in patrol, but if he's a chaplain, he will not carry the weapon. And for the most part, he will not ever carry the weapon because, I mean, I think 2013 is when we had the worst flood. We've had floods since then, but not as bad as that one. And that one, we had everybody out here. Trust me, I was wading in the mud up to my knees. Me and Alex were climbing up on the brim.
It was fun.
Hopefully, we wouldn't slip into that thing. So, I mean, you know, it's, but it would only be in exigent circumstances.
Any discussion?
Well, one question, should he be tied up on a traffic stop and there's a chaplain required, do we have a backup chaplain?
Currently, we don't.
No?
But if he's tied up on that, we can always send an officer to relieve
Or
him.
break it up?
And then he would have to put his gun up and then respond to that call.
Right.
But we do have a victim's advocate also. So that victim's advocate could assist. So,
Okay,
and he also, at the very end, he will report, he will do monthly and annual reports. So of what activity that he's done. He won't say specifically, you know, I counseled Alex because he was drinking and on duty. Now, he'll just say I had X number of counseling, I had X number of notifications, so it'd be that kind of stuff.
So, will he also be required, like any peace officer, their yearly physicals and their, that they have to,
Qualify.
shooting range, qualify and all that stuff, since he does still have his peace officer, he still has to comply to everything a peace officer does?
He's gonna have to comply with the FTO process,
Okay.
and he will have to qualify annually, yes. He will have to go through the complete
The whole
FTO
thing.
process.
If he's out on patrol, who dictates what's the approval process for him to be out on patrol? Is that still through you?
It'll be through me, yes. I'll be his direct supervisor. So if he is going to, let's say he wants to ride with a patrol officer, let me back up. If he wants to work as an officer, first of all, he has to pass the FPO process. Once he, and whether it's him or anybody else, if he wants us to carry his commission, if he doesn't, this is kind of case specific with him. Normally, chaplains aren't officers. Now, where I come from, a chaplain has never been armed. Chief Burton came from an area where a lot of chaplains were armed. So, I mean, I would feel strange talking to a chaplain that's armed. The first thing I'd be doing, I'd be looking at his gun, like, you're going to counsel me, you're going to pray with me, and if I don't pray right, you can shoot me. But I mean, we're in a different era. But for us, if he's working as a chaplain, he will not be armed. If he goes out on patrol, he will not be in a chaplain uniform. He will be in this uniform. So, if he wants to do his hours to ride out and patrol, he can do that. But, I know the policy states that he will not act as an officer. So, the policy, but he will still have to wear the police uniform. It's a safety issue to have somebody ride that's responding to calls without being armed. Now, we have ride-alongs, they have to sign a form, but if it's a dangerous call or something, they stay in the car. They don't respond as an officer. If he's responding as an officer, he will be dressed in uniform. But he can ride with the officers in the chaplain uniform, but he will not be armed. And he will not act as an officer. So that's going to be very difficult for him to kind of juggle. That's for this specific chaplain that we have.
Any further questions?
Do they get paid or
No,
they're
this
just
is a
volunteer?
volunteer chaplain.
Yeah, they don't get paid at all?
No.
And right now you said it is one chaplain?
Yes, right now we only have one chaplain.
Okay.
He tried to get somebody else to come with him, but they didn't want to do it.
Okay. And how do we make sure that we're respecting everyone's kind of religious belief?
He's trained. All chaplains are trained in kind of all the religions, so they can give you communion. They can counsel with you as a Catholic, as a Baptist, as a Presbyterian. I mean, they are trained in all the religions, probably short of Arabic or whatever. But I mean, they're trained in multitudes of religions. So if you're a Protestant and he needs to, he can counsel you as a Protestant.
Any further discussion? Motion to approve.
I second.
Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 10, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department, Policy 7.35, K-9
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Once again, Carol Candelaria here. Discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 7.35 K-19. It is the policy of the Socorro Police Department K-9 unit to provide services and safety to all department personnel and to the community of the city of Socorro by utilizing the capabilities and the public service qualities of the police service K-9. I have Lieutenant Smith that will address these changes as well.
put all Socorro Police Department in there and stuff. But this is the policy that they wish us to have because of the fact that we have dual-purpose dogs. Actually, we have tri-purpose dogs. Our dogs are narcotics, they're actually patrol, and they're tracking. You rarely get tri-purpose dogs. We've been very successful. We're 2 out of 2 in tracking. So we had a young girl that we thought might have been kidnapped. She just snuck out to be with her boyfriend, and we found her with her boyfriend. And they tracked her all the way from her house in Socorro, and we found her in the parking lot of the community college off of Viscount, or off of Hunter. We tracked her all that way. So, very good tracking dog. It's a policy that this is what the policy that they would like us to have. It's a very good policy, it's very detailed. If you want to fall asleep tonight, read this thing. It's a lot of stuff.
Any motion, any discussion?
No.
No?
I just want to know if it's a bar because I lost my Apple Watch. So.
No discussion?
No?
Make motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 11, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department, Policy 8.7, line of duty death or injury.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Carol Candelaria once again. This is a discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 8.7, line of duty death or injury. It is the responsibility of every law enforcement agency to provide a liaison assistance to the immediate survivors of any officer who dies in the line of duty, whether feloniously or accidentally, or who is hospitalized for an indefinite period of time, or requires repeat and or intermediate hospitalization because of the line of duty injury or systematic illness. This assistance shall include, but is not limited to, the clarification, the comprehensive study of survivor benefit and emotional support during the traumatic period of readjustment for the surviving family. I do have Lieutenant Smith that will speak about this policy.
This is another mandatory policy that we have, and it's very near and dear to my heart because I have buried 9 of my friends that have been killed in my duty. And I've been honor guard in all 9 of them. This is a policy that every police department should have. Something that it was difficult for me to write this, and it's difficult for me to even talk about it, but this is a policy that is much needed for every police department in the nation.
Any discussion? No discussion? Make motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 12, discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department, Policy 8.8, Honor Guard Detail.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Once again, Carol Candelaria here. Discussion and action to approve the amendment to the Socorro Police Department Policy 8.8 Honor Guard Detail. It is the policy of the Socorro Police Department to establish funeral service protocols for officers who are killed in the line of duty or die while employed or after retirement. The agency is committed to honor those with gallantly served our community and to illustrate with dignity the gratitude and respect we hold for those officers. I do have Lieutenant Smith that will speak on this new policy.
Again, this is a mandatory Texas best practice policy. This not only establishes what we need to do for our own, but what we should do for other officers that have died in line of duty. We do have an honor guard right now. They have been utilized several times already, unfortunately. But they also can do other things. They have done, I know that they did a presentation at City Council. They have been honored with the title of the Best Dressed Honor Guard in this area. They look sharp. If you've never seen them, wow, they look very, very good. They have been through training to learn how to be an honor guard and the importance of being an honor guard, especially when you are standing next to the casket. When an officer dies and their casket is put out, an officer will be there until that person is buried. So from the funeral home, they will stand guard over that casket until the day of the burial. And it is an honor to be an honor guard, to be able to do that. And our people look the sharpest of all of them. I've seen them with all the other honor guards in the area, and we've had comments on how great they look. So, again, this is a mandatory policy that we have to have. So, thank you for approving this.
Any discussion?
No.
No. Motion to approve?
Second.
Oh, by the way, I have a lot more policies. Future, in the future.
It's okay.
Just give you fair.
Heads up.
Don't worry.
We're going to take the vote. Mr. Andres Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz?
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda?
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos?
Yes.
And Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez?
Yes.
Moving on to item number 13, discussion and action to set a grievance hearing date for Jose L. Munoz.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Carol Candelaria here again. This is to discussion and action to set a grievance hearing for Jose L. Munoz. Mr. Jose L. Munoz has filed a grievance to his termination. Do you have any questions? Need to schedule a date for his hearing. We do have a scheduled, our next civil service meeting is for August the 28th at 6 p.m. Don't know if you want to set a different meeting, but that's when our next scheduled meeting is for.
August 28th.
August 28th?
Yes.
I would say yes, because something like this, it's always good to.
The sooner the better, yes.
The person wants to know the outcomes. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's fine, go ahead to approve, to hear the case for Mr. Munoz, for August 28th, 2023. Look for motion?
Second. Second.
Mr. Andres Chavez?
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz?
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda?
Right.
Ms. Claudia Olmos?
Yes.
and Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 14, set agenda for the next meeting.
This time for August 28th, 6 o'clock.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Perfect, let me take the vote. Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Aye.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Andres Chavez,
Aye.
Mr. Albert Ortiz,
Aye.
Mr. Alex Miranda,
Yes.
Ms. Claudia Olmos,
Yes.
Ms. Yolanda Rodriguez.
Yes.
We adjourn at 6:45 PM.